edition. Thank you so very much for being here. There is so many things just going on in the world right now. So hopefully we can just bring you here. We can all just relax for just a moment, and we're going to talk about speaking opportunities. So really excited about that, and I hope you are doing okay. I know um, it's been a little interesting here in the United States. It seems like I come on and say that often these days. So if you are going through the things, give yourself grace. That is nothing wrong with that. Give yourself grace, okay? All right, so this is the Office Hours by iFind You Close. I'm Felicia Jones, the lead researcher and founder, and today we're going to talk about using iFind You Close to land speaking engagements. So basically, we're just going to go over looking through all of some of the bits and pieces of iFind You Close, just to give you a couple of little nuggets. We do have a question from the gallery. Yes, and we have one from Kalita, and it says, just joined and love the format. How can I access diversity, equity, and inclusion speaking gigs? Like, perfect question for today. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and jump over in iFind You Close. For those of you who are guests and you have not joined us here at iFind You Close, think about upgrading, because we have so many speaking engagements coming out. And oh my gosh, I can't wait till, oh gosh, I don't know what's going on next week. But some of the trends that are going on is very interesting. Very, very interesting. So we're going to talk about that, at office hours. But if you're definitely needing some help landing, or, finding the research, having the research to find the gigs, go ahead and join us over here. So one of the things I'm going to do is what we're going to do now. So the first thing is we're going to just talk about using iFind You Close. And for those of you who are new, I got to switch cameras. There we go. There we go. I'm over there. You can see me again. All right. So we're going to talk about how to use iFind You Close and just kind of give you just a quick overview, just to let you know we do have a video in navigating the platform. We are in the process of updating all of this information, because we've made some changes, and we need to upgrade, update everything that's going out. So over the next few weeks, we're working really hard on this. You're going to see a few more updated videos. You're going to have a course on how to use all this stuff. So we're getting it together. I mean, for those of you business owners, you know how this goes. Sometimes it's like baby steps, because I'm one of those, like, you want to do it all at one time, but like we can't do it all at one time. All right, so we do have navigation things over here. So if you can always go inside of the platform under welcome. If you have not watched these videos on how to navigate, we're going to talk about that as well. And then, of course, we have the upcoming events. So that's where you can see, things like office hours, courses, all kinds of things over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go over here and log in as an enrolled person. My view is a little different than yours, and I don't want to confuse you. Okay. So yeah, so now you can see upcoming events. And so we're about to post quite a few events coming up as well. All right, so let's talk about our list of speaking opportunities. So if you see me looking over at my monitors over here. So right now, if you are looking for gigs, what you'll have to do, the way it is broken down is by quarter, 13 weeks every quarter, to keep it simple. And the reason why we only post 5, and sometimes you may get a bonus few, but the reason we post 5 is because we know that you are business owners. We hands down, I know that you're a business owner and you're trying to do all the things. Now, if you had 20 hours a week to dedicate it to this, trust me, you're going to be on all the stages. But I understand what we think we can do, and then the reality of the capacity, because I was one of those people, like, let's do this every day, and like, okay, but we still got to run the business and make money and all that other stuff as well. So that's the reason why we post 5 a week, because we want you to just come in, give it about 4 hours, so that you can evaluate what's here and then decide which one will work for you. So if you go and look, I'm using some old ones. You just go and look and see, oh my gosh, here's the Executive Women's Forum. Here is the Center for Public Safety. And the goal is to do a quick yes or no, quick pass, go or stay, so that you can go and work on it. You have everything together so that you can go pitch it right at, do the application or follow the instructions so that you can go do it right then and there. So that's the reason why we kept it so not minimal, but to keep it easy for you. The format has changed a little bit. So yeah, so if you go look at last week's gigs, of course, we're going to have little banners just letting you know what kind of courses are happening, a quick overview video. This is what we post on social media, but the information is the same. We give you the names, the locations, what they're looking for, what Kalita's question is the same, like how does she find diversity and inclusion? So that's the one thing we don't do here in iFind You Close. We don't categorize it so that you can go and search, because these things run so fast that even if it was just, I can list all diversity and inclusion events, I mean, half the dates will be gone. So that's why you have to come in and check every week to see what is going on. And so for Kalita, so what you will do is you will go and look at the topics wanted. That's going to be the big one for you. Because and here's the other clue. For those of you who are diversity and inclusion people, not everything is going to be explicit diversity and inclusion. So you're going to have to start looking outside the box with your topic. Sometimes it's going to be very clear that it's diversity and inclusion. So let me see if I can find one. So you'll have to look at industry focuses, is women, empowerment, equity. That should be the first sign that they may want to have a diversity and inclusion. Because remember, diversity and inclusion means something completely different for a lot of people, which, that's just how this works, So it means a lot of different things for a lot of people. But when we're looking under entrepreneurship, executive leadership, you can submit under that category. So sometimes they're going to give you, we want personal development, which is like the big basket of, it's like somebody, what's the best example? It's like your mom sending you to the grocery store and like, bring me back a whole bunch of fruit. And, she doesn't say like what kind of fruit. So now you're figuring out, okay, what kind of fruit does she want? So that's kind of how they're doing a lot of these events. They'll just say leadership. All right, give us your best, whatever you think is leadership. So if you are a DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion person, so you're going to have to either reframe your talk, not the talk, but your pitch, so that it is, DEI when it comes to leadership, and how to be an effective leadership with DEI in mind. So that's how you're going to have to think with a lot of these things. A lot of this is a little brain manipulation trying to figure out how to pitch. And I will say for this event here, so let's just say they have culture and advocacy. It's kind of a sneaky one, but this is where you can talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you have to kind of start use your words, but take, context clues of their words as well when it comes to like, all right, diversity, inclusion. And here's one, it is very specific. Diversity and inclusion. Sometimes it's gonna be very specific. Sometimes it will not be. And then here's another one just for you, under talent. You'll be surprised that a lot of events you can submit under talent if they have tracks. So usually they'll have tracks, and you can submit diversity and inclusion under talent. And usually talent is around talent acquisition, how to maintain talent, how to get people to stay motivated once they've gotten their jobs, all of that kind of stuff. So that's just a few ways. And hopefully that helps a little bit when it comes to looking at all of these events. So I'm going to go down here and just grab another one. So you want to just kind of look at what is going on. And sometimes some events themselves, if you look at the industry, it can give you another context clue on whether or not diversity and inclusion is a good one. And to be honest, diversity and inclusion is always going to be a good one for most of them. Sometimes they don't know what it is that they want to hear on stage. So you'll be surprised that if you go outside of the box, you can actually land quite a few gigs. I have a client, one-on-one client, and she pitched under talent management for I would think it's under talent and career management, but she talked about transformation and leadership. So that's why I was saying and it's a very different topic that, somebody may think doesn't work for it under talent, but it really does. So sometimes you're going to have to, I won't say get creative, but kind of think outside of the box. So like here's one here, talent life cycle. That could be a good one to pitch, like diversity and inclusion topic, because you know, and this is where you're going to have to frame it, because what is your angle of diversity and inclusion. So a lot of this stuff that's over here is going to be based on your angle of how you're tackling things. So because diversity and inclusion can be huge. We could talk about diversity and inclusion in technology when it comes to LGBTQ challenges, disability, diversity, inclusion of thought. I mean, so that's why you're going to have to kind of figure out your angle so that you'll know how to do all of these to pitch. Now, the other thing we want to talk about is pitching keynote gigs. Now, of course, if you have any questions, I didn't tell you this. If you have any questions, just let me know. Hi, Chad Davis. Nice to see you as well. So the other thing when it comes to keynote gigs, let me go back to the main thing. Nope, that's the wrong camera. Sorry, y'all. So yeah, if you got any questions, put them in the comment box. And now I want to talk about the keynote gigs. Now, we've talked about this before as to who gets paid on stage. Sometimes breakout sessions will pay you. Sometimes. Not going to be a whole lot. You are not going to be feeding all the mouths in your house with what they're probably going to pay you. Sometimes you have to negotiate for it, and sometimes the compensation will just be travel, lodging. It really depends, okay? But the reality is keynote people will get you will get paid if you are a keynote speaker. Not all the time, but let's just say 95% of the time, if you are a keynote, you will get paid, or you need to negotiate to get paid. Now, we don't... I will say for the most part, a lot of the events that we post are for breakout sessions. We do have some that are for keynote, and that's where you got to read that fine print. You have to read the fine print on the ones that are looking for keynote. But there is a way to reverse engineer the information we have to go find keynote gigs. So let's talk about nice 2020. So let's just say you want to get on the main stage, and before we even, okay, let me go back to the main camera here. Before we even talk about getting on the main stage, one, you need to have your website together. It needs to look like you deserve to be on the main stage. You need to have credibility. You need to have all these things. Just because I decided to come up out the basement and want to get on the main stage doesn't mean I'm going to get it. So you got to have all these other things, behind you while you're doing this, okay? So what will happen when you're looking for like main stage events, and I'm not talking about workshops or trainings, completely different things. You're going to have to start using some math. That's why I have my shirt in America Gifted, which is for sale now. You're going to have to start doing math. So let's just say this event it was November 16th, 2020. Now, if you want to go for this event, what you will have to do is take this information, go to the website, and you're going to have to start counting either 6 months before or 3 months after the event. Let me say that again. You're going to have to count 3 months after the event or 6 months before the event is to start. The reason why is because when you decide to pitch keynote, it's very different. It's not an application. So you're going to have to directly reach out to the people in charge. So you're going to have to go to the website, figure out who is that person, so that you can go keynote. The person who does breakout sessions is not necessarily the person that does the keynote spots. So you're going to have to go and get ready for it. So, and the reason why I say 3 months after is because during an event, people are not, they're trying to focus on the event at the moment. And 3 months after, they are usually prepping for next year's event or the year after event. So that's why you have to start getting your pitch strategy in place. However many months it's going to take. Sometimes it can take up to 4 months, okay? So that's why you have to pitch. And sending one email is not good enough. You're going to have to go outside of what we have and have a pitch strategy, all right? A pitch strategy with how you're going to get in front of these people. That's why I'm saying all of this other stuff matters. Your website, your testimonials, your credibility is going to really matter if you're going to go after keynote gigs, and you're going to have to hammer it pretty hard, because not everybody's going to answer you on that first email. They're not going to answer you on the second email, just to be honest. So you're going to have to put in a little bit of work. But that is one way to reverse engineer all of the information that we have. We have 4 quarters worth of speaking opportunities. So it's almost over 200. It's close to 250. So if you sat down one weekend and went through all this information, you could pitch about 250 of these events for a main stage. And the thing what we've noticed is this is a dating game. The more you do it, the more likely you are to get on stage. Okay, one time is not enough. And I know a lot of people like, I sent 5 emails. Oh my gosh, I know people who sent 500. 5 emails, you're gonna have to do a little bit better than that. And this is actually not a bad time to start getting into people's inboxes, because a lot of events are still trying to decide if they're going to go live, if they're going to go virtual, if they're going to wait till next year. So we're still kind of in a weird spot when it comes to events. And what I told you a few weeks ago is local is it right now, because small local events, and when I say events, mainly networking groups, your chambers, things like that, they are going live, and it's just a lot easier not to, have to worry about somebody flying in and all that kind of stuff. But these are some things you're going to have to think about when you're trying to go after these keynote gigs. And I think that's about it. Of course, if you got any questions, just let me know. Let me go make sure we don't have any questions. Fear to Freedom, how are you? This is helpful because D&I, for me, I know what I speak on is extremely beneficial, but not necessarily a D&I specific. Hi. Hey, BC, how you doing? Am I saying your name properly? Yeah, so that's the thing with the D&I. You're going to have to, sometimes people are like, I speak on, diversity and inclusion, and people are like, I just need diversity and inclusion, like popping up in my face. It doesn't work that way all the time. You're going to have to get kind of creative with, if it's personal development, do you have an angle on an individual when it comes to diversity and inclusion? With leadership, what is an angle with diversity and inclusion? Sometimes it's not necessarily the topic has to be, I am a diversity and inclusion speaker, so yeah, you're going to have to get creative with the grouping. So remember, the people who are doing this aren't necessarily the people that know how we call ourselves. So when you see leadership, talent, career, you can pitch under diversity, inclusion under those topics. And what I'm really trying to say for anybody, I know I've only specifically talked about diversity and inclusion, but this is anything, health. It just needs to have an angle that will speak directly to what they're looking for. And one of the things I've learned is you will have to get a little bit creative when you are pitching and go after everything. You would be surprised. You would be surprised who needs to hear what you have to say, especially in some categories. I was like in tech, that may be a big one. And the knitting circle, you may not think that they're interested in diversity and inclusion, but you'll be surprised how many people are trying to do things more, with more inclusion in mind, but they never have, would think to say, I need a diversity and inclusion. Nobody wakes up in the morning other than maybe big corporate America, like I need a diversity and inclusion person, So yeah, so I want you to kind of look at the information, kind of look at the topics in a very general, broad sense. Figure out what your angle is based on the industry, based on the audience, based on their category. And remember, a lot of these events will let you pitch multiple times. So you can don't send over more than, I would say 3 will be your extreme maximum. But you can send, if you got 2 topics that can go under 2 different categories, give it a try. All right, folks, that's all I have for you. Of course, if you have any more questions, make sure you put them in the comment box. BC, thank you so very much. Hopefully this was helpful. Kalita, hopefully this was helpful. One of the things that we're going to be doing is when the office hours are done, let me go so you can see what I'm doing. Boop, boop, boop. So when office hours are done, they will, so this is upcoming events, so we call it Office Hours Archive. You can go and see the most recent one, and one of the things that we're going to do is, if questions are coming in, I will make sure I put the question that's being answered here so you'll know what I'm talking about. And I do change the topic. So, this one was based on the question, should you add a speaker feed to an application? So yeah, I'll title this one as soon as I get done, but it'll have the question. So if you're ever trying to figure out something with events and things like that, you can just kind of put it over here and just say website. Let's say if you want to understand your speaker website, there's a whole video on here on what should be on your speaker website with some examples and things like that. So that's kind of how the platform is working at the moment. And yeah, and of course we do office hours every Friday. So my next office hours are next Friday at 10 a.m. Only if something extreme happens will we not do them. So of course, if you have questions, please. Oh, I have to put this here too. If you have questions, you submit the button under the event as well. So I will always be looking at those to answer any questions. So, all right, I'm gonna go finish drinking my tea, sipping my tea, and I think I have a lot of work to do. So you have an amazing Friday. Don't party too hard. Take care of yourself. Give yourself grace if you need some grace. The world can be a little interesting these days. So give yourself grace. If you need to take a moment and pause, these events, they're going to be here. I promise you, unless the dinosaurs come back, these events will be here. So take care of yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye.